Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that time lapse to kick off the video. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Boomer, your host, and today I want to explain and show you how we built that, but we're not done yet. We still have to build the other half of the stairs and the support pillars. But I want you to understand where and why it came from. And so where we're at right now, when I first started this server 3 years ago, this was obviously underwater. Right, you can see there's the water line as we go outside. Right, so we found a guardian temple, and after we defeated it, cleared it out, we built this floor, right, and that became the starting point for the base. And then we added the pillars, and eventually the dome that's here. Boy, I wish it were daytime. Right, and we spent a couple of months working on this, trying to come up with a design that we liked. And so that was right here. This was the original base. This was where I had intended to build everything. And then I decided to make a change. I decided to go down even further. And so down to here was where I built the supporting pillars for the dome and this platform. And the goal was to have different ways going out to support Sign Fun to do different things. And so below that platform was the ring you saw that I demolished in the previous 2 episodes. And then I started looking at that ring and I'm like, I'm not happy with it. I don't like it. Here's the problem, right? And maybe there's a artistic type person out there who understands the designs way better than I do of the implications of trying to change a build. Now, when it's a square box, when it's a large platform, it's no big deal. If you build a factory, factories are easy to change. What gets harder to change is when there's artistic elements involved and they get impacted by those changes. So when it was just the dome, right? I loved it. I thought it looked really good. But the plan became soon to excavate all the way down. So then the pillars with the dome, I'm like, all right, that's okay. And then this bottom platform is like, all right, I mean, the design's cool and all, but that's about it. And then I had put the support down here. And so it became this really massive thing. It just didn't look right. And I went through in a creative server. I probably played around with a few different ideas for about 9 or 10 hours. That is not my strength. Believe it or not, creativity is not my strength. There's nothing creative about the dome. Now, the floor patterns, yes. That very first one is my original design. This middle one here, or this one, it was inspired by something that I pulled off the web. It's not the pattern, but it had inspirations based from it. So that I can't take full credit for it because some of the features are laid out into that. The old supports that were underneath here were my design, and I didn't like it. But they were up, I had it done, we had to keep moving forward. So now this is half. This is one half of the pillars and stairwells, right? So you take a look, we're trying to alter an alteration of an alteration of original design. That's the problem with going back and making changes to your base, especially something that is artistic. It becomes much harder to alter, to change, and continuously complement each part of the base so that it looks natural, it looks beautiful. And I think with all this extra down here, I've kind of lost parts of that. And so, one thought that has crossed my mind since I started playing around with this, and I'm not sure I like it, would be to extend the platform all the way to the black wall and have the stairwell, at least, and possibly some type of water tunnel in the middle, but primarily I would have the stairwell as my way down. Now, what would that look like, right? I could take this platform and literally go straight across, but then at what point do I seal in the stairs going down? So probably somewhere, I don't know, maybe this far out, right? The platform would pick up so that it'd just be a little bit of an opening and go down. Then I'd have to find a way to continue some sort of design that matches this flow, that doesn't hurt that, right? 256 diameter circle. So 128 times 128, so 16,000 roughly, times pi. So close to 50,000 blocks minus what's already placed would have to go. That would also mean I would lose at least part of what my initial intent was to get back and have slime coming down all over the walls. That may or may not stay now if I do these changes. Another option that I looked at and I didn't like was trying to extend these pillars all the way down to the bottom. So the further I got down here and thought, okay, if I extended the pillars in my mind trying to look at this, it really looks awkward. It's like, what would I describe it as? A 1950s end table that would, or bar table chair. It had the feeling of something that was tall that could not support much weight if it was put on top of it, needed a lot of support. Visually, it didn't look right. Even if I took out the platform, it still doesn't look right. It's not proportionate to the dome, right? To run those pillars all the way down, whether or not that circle is there, it did not look proportionate to the size of the dome. It's more than twice. It's about twice the size. That's not realistic. I wanted the base to have some realism In other words, that, okay, the platform is at least physically supported and it looks okay. And so, like I've always said, when it comes to creative art in Minecraft, that is not my specialty. I can take designs and patterns and create those, but they're going to be through with all the way through without, right? They're going to be through my entire base. I'm okay with this. It's not what I'd hoped. I did think about potentially, and I may still go back, but again, it doesn't make sense, was to do, uh, if you've ever seen, oh, I'm trying to think of a place that would, okay, for those that are in a Star Trek Enterprise, for Star Trek, the Enterprise has a bridge where if you're sitting in front of the screen, there's miniature stairwells that walk up and around, kind of like a U-shaped almost. Um, there's another Elysian Fire has a castle base that has a stairwell that does the same thing, where you would have two launching points down here, and somehow they would start like here, curve up, and come to that. Probably wouldn't start here, it'd probably start here, but it would come up, curve up, and they would meet. That seems even less realistic in this case. I looked at round support pillars, I've looked at square support pillars, I looked at octagons, I've tried a lot of different designs, and the problem is I just don't know what could fit this design so it looks realistic, right? So part of the challenge, the top circle is bigger than the bottom. It's not proportionally correct to begin with. Normally, is especially when you're talking about supporting large heavy structures, your bottom support would be much bigger, not like this. That was bigger at one point and it was cut back for the design. Now, I've imagined and looked at taking away all of the stone that surrounds this platform. And I don't know that that would look realistic because now we're going to have our support pillars on the edge of the platform. It could match simply because the dome is on the edge of the support pillars. That's a possibility. But then it's still going to be off a little bit. So I just, it's would almost be easier to wipe the base and start completely from scratch. I don't want to do that. I love the dome. I love the patterns in it. I love the uniqueness of what we've done. And I need something down here. And here's the thing that why I'm not as bothered by it. So if I come down in here, right, it gives it a completely different feel, right? Underneath here, with these pillars spaced out, and I may change the spacing, right? You'll see the two in the middle are a little bit closer. I did toy with the idea of moving them out off of the center of that path, but then I actually said I could just move it one over and one back. So in that case, they would be almost perfectly identically spaced. But whether I do that or not, down here, if I'm working down here in Slime Fun, right? Now this base feels 100% different down here. And on this side of the base, although introducing the cobbled deep slate and the deep slate tiles, that's not up there, it's down here. And so I think from below, this works. Now I probably would need to make some changes to the network tower for sure. The polished andesite doesn't fit. So that could be a change that could help provide more color matching down here, more pattern matching. But down here, I'm okay with the differences. It's when I'm above where I don't like it. So what I want to do, I want to keep going, and we'll chat for a little bit here while I'm working. I've got this first one laid out where we have to start. Whoops, where are my, there we go. So this is the starting point to get this thing built. And as you saw in the time lapse, It's not super hard to build. It's just time consuming and getting that first level right because it's actually one block more than every other level. Because my base is on a bottom slab, so mobs wouldn't spawn. Whoops, this layer has to have one extra block to get to where I need it to go. So in other words, normally the rest of it, 7 stairs and a platform of 3. 7 stairs, platform of 3 until the very end. Then it's a platform of 7. Here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's just double check that. I'm 99% sure that it is 8, but I want to make sure we got it right. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, plus the one that's on the floor. Okay. So now the rest of this will go pretty easy as far as getting this build up. I know a lot of people that have played in a server in a world for a really long time. I'll think, for example, Etho from Minecraft and from Hermitcraft, and he had a Let's Play series as well that went on for years, and he may still be doing part of it. I haven't watched lately, but his base continued to adapt based on what it is that he was working on, what he was doing. Now, did it all blend? No, but he found ways to transition it, and I think that's how my approach is going to be. Is I need to transition my base a little bit more to fit the design, my build style, what it is that I want to accomplish. Remember, we're building a slime fun base. We're not building a truly survival world base. And I guess my encouragement would be, as you're building out your base, whether you're going massive or you're using a village that you're redesigning, whether you're using an underground cave, whatever it happens to be, first try anything and everything. Don't just limit yourself to what you've always done. Because if I did that, I'd be building oak boxes. The very first server I ever played on was a SkyGrid server. If you've never played SkyGrid, it's where the entire world is a grid of blocks. And so they're placed 4 blocks apart, horizontally, vertically. There is no world per se. It's all just the blocks that make up the world. Then you just go around, collect resources to get started, get enough to where you can start generating your own resources, right? So, for example, you're going to go in a world and find a tree sapling, just like you would in Skyblock. You have a sapling or you have a tree. SkyGrid has saplings, so you can take the saplings and start making wood. Then you can find lava and water, and you can start making stone, and then you can start making, all the different variants. There's another world, there's an end world that's all like that. So, in other words, when you want to start building massive bases there, you actually have to do what we call grid clearing, where you clear large segments of the grid to build your base. And then from there, it's all up to you. So it's a pretty cool grid. I did that for probably about 3 years. And actually, my son, my oldest, had got me involved, got me interested because I was watching him play. And I'm like, what in the world is SkyGrid, right? What is this thing? And so he showed me and I kind of watched. And after a while, I got my own account. And we had a base together on the server. And after a while, we started going vanilla crazy to the point, we built up this just insane, massive base and, playing the server shop game. We had completely dominated the economy within a year. It was a really cool time, and we really enjoyed it, and something is wrong. Oh, boy. Oh, here it is. Dag nabbit, I'm supposed to blame it. Let me just check the rest of them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm off at least one block. Yeah, I'm off one block. Darn it. Oh, don't you hate when you do that? So anyway, so we were playing a server, and after a couple years that he got tired of it, I kept playing, kept going. But the first base we built, oh my gosh, it was one of the most fun, cool times that we ever did together. And it was one of, let's just say, I did it again. Let's just say it was not the most beautiful thing I've ever built. Ton of oak wood, ton of boxed type things, tons of platforms. Um, but that's where you start. Now, some people may be much better than I was, and you've got some idea, but you don't necessarily know the game, or you don't necessarily know the blocks of the game, patterns that you can build, and so some of that stuff takes a little bit of time to learn, and that's okay, right? You're not gonna know, you're not gonna go on and 5 minutes later, you've learned every block pattern there is in a game, every palette that you can use to make really awesome, cool things. Excuse me, trying to drink some coffee here. But you get in there, you try it, you experiment, and that's what you do, and that's how you learn. And so I've continued over the years to try to experiment. Sometimes I fail miserably. Sometimes I learn something. Sometimes I get better. Sometimes uh, I hit it, and that's what we'll continue to do. We will continue together to work through the base, to work through the slime fun build. I have never been afraid to totally demolish any one of my builds for something better, and that's what we're doing today. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, and then we'll come back. All right, guys, here we are. Probably, I don't know, it was about 2.5 days later, and a lot of work's been done. And I actually made some changes to the plans, but it's not done yet. So why can't I figure it out? There we go. So the original design that I showed was this: a 3x3 column with the buttons on the end. And I got it all done, and I looked at it, and I didn't like it. I didn't think the pillars were big enough. It didn't look realistic compared to the platform above it. So what I've done, where's my, here we go, let's, real quick. I've gone to a 5x5. That looks a lot beefier, stronger, and it looks much more proportional to the stairwell. Even in the tower, let's go over, here we go. Let's go over to this side and kind of come out here and look. I've believe it or not, I actually even respaced them a little bit, redid the layouts, and now it's looking a little bit more realistic. Now, I did think about going even bigger, but to me, that didn't seem like it was going to work. Now, I do have, I believe, 5 towers are left. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. That's because I'm up against the network crafting walls and the storage units. And if I were to try to expand these, obviously I have to move everything. So I hate this. But before I can finish the towers, I'm going to have to move them. So the storage units are going to come down, and the autocrafters are going to come down. And I might as well take all of this down as well to get it ready to be restructured. About all that's going to stay, yeah, there it is. There's the new network tower. A lot better. I really like this a lot better. The only thing I wish I could do but different, these all have to be network bridges because it's connecting the outer row of monitors into a network. And so one row has to maintain this. Now, I might be able to use networks to cover it up or maybe even dye them black. So at least they're not white, they don't stand out as much. But I love the look of this a lot better than what I previously had. And there's going to be additional layers coming up here as I move storage units that I want to have access on all the networks. So that'll change a little bit. But here's what we're going to do. That's going to come down. That's going to come down. All of these middle things are going to come down. We're going to stick them in chests for a moment. and that's going to come down. I'm going to leave the core Supreme Core system running for now because I've got enough to make 160-ish tech mutation chambers. I want to let that run while I'm tearing all this down. Then I'll rebuild that, make whatever tech mu chambers I can. Then we'll worry about moving and redoing this. And like, for example, the power, I want to hide it one of these pillars. So I'm going to gore one out. We'll hide it in there, and I'll probably start the power system um, inside of the pillars somehow, and maybe even get it out of here. We'll see. I got to think about that. But again, here we go. So that goes bye bye. That goes bye bye. And that goes bye bye. And Boomer goes to work. Well, guys, I tell you, this base looks really weird now. All that's left is Supreme's tech gens and core crafting, a little bit of cultivation and EMC tech. Everything is gone. All of the hidden underground network bridges are gone. Everything's now at 5, been restructured. And right now, my last step before I start moving forward is to clear out all of the ghost block data. And so using the slime god eye, you can see where there is some bad data. And so I can come in here, it'll pop that machine right out, then I clear the cobblestone. It's, it sucks that I've got to do this, and, everybody knows block storage needs a rewrite. Um, I'm not overly optimistic we're going to get to that point, and so I'm simply going to go through at this point and try to find ways to work with what I have available. So the slime eye is the best that I've got to help me find these busted blocks, remove them, and move on from there. So anything that we see in red is what we have to remove. The green, purple, that's all fine. Red is what we're trying to get to, so there's no more ghost blocks on the base. That way I know when I start placing new slime fun blocks or put my machines back down, I know I'm not going to hit a bunch of bad data and have things miraculously disappear or drop extra machines after the fact. I just don't want to deal with it when I start rebuilding. So I'm going to try to, oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, wow. Man, I'm going to have to break in there to get some of that out of that. This is where it's going to get to be a little fun. I mean, I'm being very sarcastic, of course, but given that they're inside of there, I can probably just leave it. But here's the thing, it still counts towards the number of slime fun machines on it because the slime fun data is still there, and the program thinks there's slime fun machines there. So it's actually looking at that as valid machines. And if power by some chance were to connect it, it's actually going to try to run them. Or if there was any sign of networks and it was still connected with ghost block data, it might actually send stuff to those machines. And so to me, it's worth taking the extra time and removing this bad data so I don't have to worry about it. And again, in a perfect world, this wouldn't even exist. Unfortunately, this is where we're at today, right now. Block storage challenges are a thing, and there's not much I can do about it. And now I've got to find, you see it? Even the vanilla block got removed. Dang, that sucks. And I got to go find me some deep slate tile stairs. So, anyways, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this episode up because I have everything sitting in roughly 50 chests. And I need to start thinking about how am I going to start putting my entire base back together. And I want to really, I don't want to do this twice. I really am trying to ensure that this is the last time I'm rebuilding my base. Look at that. Look at that. Quantum storage is there. There's an actual quantum storage. So right here. And you notice that the quantum storage dropped, but I didn't get my block. Oh, brother. Okay. Isn't that funny? I mean, it's annoying as hell, yes, but well, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish removing that. I know there's a few more I saw as we were running around the base. Here, I got a stack there. I got to address. Is there anything else hidden over here? I think that's it. Well, just what I'm working on right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. And when we come back on the next episode, we're going to be digging into setting up the base finally for the hopefully the last time. And we'll start moving forward with, continuing to grow in Slime Fun and learn more. So, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Love to hear from you, ideas, suggestions. And don't forget, when you're playing Slime Fun, you got to go boomer or you got to go home. We'll see you later.